It's never good when your president is so old he starts contemplating the afterlife. But that's where we are. Let's check out. Let's open with this clip.
Here in our new media seat today, we have Jack Posobiec, who joined us in Anchorage, Alaska last week. Jack, thanks for being here. Why don't you kick us off?
Caroline, thanks so much.
So it started out terrible. In their new media seat, which they have podcasters in. Hey, they should put me there. It's the guy who does Pizzagate. That's how we're starting off. So not a good start to the news day. I'm sure Jack Posobiec isn't going to be asking many questions about... The algorithm also doesn't like it when you say the E word. The guy who's on the cover here. They don't like it when you say T and E together. I'll get it more of the algorithm. The algorithm's really a craw in my... I don't know the word.
You know, we're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Some people, as missiles hit wrong spots or get lobbed into cities like Kiev and towns. But, you know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's a pretty... I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven... This will be one of the reasons. Well, I think I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. The planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go. And I did that through trade.
He's not going to get to heaven. I'm wondering if he's just starting to remember that he was friends with old Jeff. I wonder if he's like, oh, man, sure is a lot of pictures with me. I'm probably not going to get to heaven. I'm probably a terrible person. What'd you do? You sold your house for... You just sold your house for Trump coin? Hell yeah. This is not a financial advice channel, all right? Do not take advice from me. But if you could sell your house for a Trump coin, you gotta do it. And if they throw in those sneakers on top, oh my God, I am so jealous of you. Please tell me, Andy, who you sold it to, because I would love to sell my house for one Trump coin. He wants to get to heaven. He says he's low on the totem pole. Can anyone take a guess why old President of the United States is worried he's not going to get to heaven at this point?
Bit of trilateral, and that Zelensky and Putin might come to this conclusion on their own. And then as a follow-up, I know the president said on Fox News this morning that he's partially seeking peace in order to get to heaven. Was he joking, or is there spiritual motivation behind his peace deals here?
I think the president was serious. I think the president wants to get to heaven, as I hope we all do in this room as well.
No one in that room is getting to heaven, okay? These two are not getting to heaven. This is why he's having his spiritual awakening. And this chick, she got her cross back on. Everybody wants to get to heaven. I'll tell you what. If you're looking at if a democracy, if a democratic republic is healthy, when the 80-year-old president, Sundowns on Fox News, just calls in and, hey, I'm scared I'm not going to get to heaven. You know what I mean? And then the press secretary is actually answering questions about if the president wants to get to heaven. This is the symptoms of a dying democracy, right? We got real stuff going on. I mean, what's this lady's even purpose? Right? What does she even do? Every day she comes out. If they ask her a question she doesn't like, she says, you're with the New York Times. I won't answer it. And then they have Jack Pizzagate Posobiec sitting in the guest chair. What is the point of all this? Why do we do it? I don't get it anymore, right? It doesn't make sense. The dude is losing it. We shouldn't read the whole thing. Don't want to have a stroke. But let's get to the part to where he talks about slavery. Oh, we got some people in here now. Let's see what chat's saying. Museum throughout Washington, but all over the country. He's talking about the Natural History Museum, right? I guess he's saying, but all over the country are essentially the last remaining segment. Oh my God, of woke. Is this word not died out yet? The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was. How bad slavery was. I want to get into heaven. How dare these museums show? Is anyone paying attention anymore? They're showing how bad slavery was. Is there an argument in the museum? Who was the guy? One of the guys said, it was like a jobs program. I think that was DeSantis, right? He's like, it's a jobs program. Is this really the next step to lay out the carpet for the techno-feudalistic future we have? get us to think slavery is actually good for, what is it, 1984, right? Slavery is actually freedom. This shit's crazy. Chuds don't go to museums.
During the meeting yesterday, when you decided to call Vladimir Putin, what was the reaction among the other people in the room, and what was President Putin's reaction to like being brought into a phone call in the middle of your meeting?
Well, I think they expected it. I didn't do it in front of them. I thought that would be disrespectful to President Putin. I wouldn't do that because they have not had the warmest relations. And actually, President Putin wouldn't talk to the people from Europe. I mean, that was part of the problem. They had no communication. They had no communication with the White House for years as people died. Years with Biden and his people. No communication. Putin told me. Years. It was years that he didn't speak to anybody from the White House. And it was a long time that he didn't speak to anybody from Europe. No, it's a fractured relationship. When I came in, I always had, despite the Russia hoax, which truly was a very dangerous thing for our country.
It was a hoax, and he said...
But despite that, I maintained
a
very good relationship. I mean, you saw that when he got off his plane, I got off my plane. There's a warmth there that you can't... we'll say, oh, that's such a terrible thing. It's not a terrible thing. And the most powerful. He's got second.
So can you describe for us how that happened? Did you just announce that you were going to go into the other room to make the phone call, and then you got up and left, and then came back?
I think they sort of knew I was at the end of the meeting.
Everybody knows, right? Everybody knows. So what he says is Putin calls him, and he gets up, and he says, I got to go. I got to take this in the other room. You guys can't hear what we're saying because we're on the same page of it. I mean, this is... every day, I can't just get on here and be like disqualifying every day because every day is a new embarrassment. Every day is a new disqualification from this administration. But man, picturing any other president having to take it in secret while everybody's there because Putin says he doesn't want to talk to them. It's incredible, right? I think they asked him about it here. Putin is tiny, right? There's that picture. I don't have it readily available. I need a producer. You want to help me get a producer? Become a member of this channel. But there's that picture. Everybody has it burned in their brain of Obama standing over Putin. And I think Trump just looks, he still looks small, even though Putin's tiny. We did that episode on Sunday about it because, as you guys know, I have to break that coffee cup at my in-laws' house. But let's see how old Mrs. Trump wants to get into heaven is going to spin the president running into a secret room and locking the door and saying, you can't listen to what me and Putin are saying.
Ukraine to make that bilateral happen as we speak. Sean.
Hey, if the point is to get everybody on the same page, why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room? He said it would be disrespectful to do that. But why is it disrespectful?
I bet she gets mad.
With all due respect, only a reporter from the New York Times would ask a question like that, Sean.
What'd I say?
The president met with all of these European leaders at the White House 48 hours after sitting down with President Putin on American soil. In fact, there was so much progress in the readout that was given to these European leaders immediately following his meeting with President Putin that every single one of them got on a plane 48 hours later and flew to the United States of America.
Hold on.
If I could just read for all of you some of the statements from those European leaders yesterday. You had President Zelensky.
Hold on. So she says, first off, of course, right? That's what I'm saying. What's the point of these? Someone ask a legit question. Why wouldn't he just take it with why everybody's there? Figure it out why we're all there. And she says, I could tell you it was so successful because as the other world leaders watched it go down, this is the up is down, down is up, right? What's the point of these things? It was so successful that the other leaders from the other countries had to rush in to be a part of it so that he didn't do something catastrophic. But she sees that as a good thing. Like a baby playing with a chainsaw. Everybody running at the baby with the chainsaw to try to get it away from him. But in her mind, if she was spinning that story that I just made up, everybody was just trying to help that baby with that chainsaw.
Saying it was a very good conversation. It was
First off, if you guys missed the first, you guys said you wanted more lives, so I'm trying to do more lives. All right.
Really good. We spoke about very sensitive points.
We don't want to hear this anymore. I think is it
there to provide them with a readout of Russia's thinking on this, something that was not done by the previous administration at all.
I never know what end of she's talking out of, right? It could be both ends, because all I hear is I just want to show you how it doesn't really make any sense. It's such a crazy world we're in. Because the media is so scared of their overlords having to pay, like Paramount Plus, CBS, ABC, CNN now. They're so scared they're going to have to pay anything that if you actually watch shows like this, the mainstream media, as it used to be called, they don't say anything. They just go around in circles, right? It's that self-censorship.
That there will likely be a bilateral meeting, and then perhaps one that includes President Trump. Is that where things stand right now?
This guy doesn't know anything.
Joe, let's go all the way back to Friday, because I want to set the record straight on what went on in Alaska.
He's going to set the record straight. He's going to tell you all that stuff you saw, maybe from my episode, maybe from other sources, didn't actually happen. Here's what actually happened, but he's going to do it in the least charismatic, boring voice you've ever heard.
Alaska was a show of force by President Trump. He invited President Putin to land that the Russians used to own. He displayed a huge amount of military hardware and then did a flyover. It was kind of like inviting your uncontrollable neighbor to your house and showing him your gun case. So then the President Zelensky, we had a very good meeting with him and his team.
This guy puts together a PowerPoint when he wants to bang his wife, I bet. If you see slide 1, I'll turn you on like, I can't even lower my voice to that level of charisma. Who listens to this?
In the Oval for about an hour and a half, and then we went, met with the European leaders.
And then
it was
around
an incredible group to have in the White House, all led by President Trump.
Shut up. All right, so we all saw what happened, right? We all saw what happened. This guy's trying to rewrite history. Those are the United States Marines laying out the red carpet for Putin. They didn't get anyone else to do it. This wasn't someone else's job. They could have got someone else to do it. You know what I mean? But instead, Trump said, run over there, Marines. Lay out the red carpet because I want this to be reminiscent of a reality show. If you watched it, and watch my episode if you haven't seen it, it's a good one. It was like The Bachelor, right? The Bachelorette. Putin was coming down this way. Trump was coming down that way. He stood and waited for him. He clapped. And then they laid out the United States Marines. Honest to God, just in your mind. I know it's been overdone too much, but it is important to keep a reference of just how far away we are. Just what liars this Republican Party was. They LARPed as patriots forever. We'll get to the state stuff in a minute. But they support the troops, send them out there to lay down a red carpet for a murderous dictator. Support the troops. Check out this magnet on my SUV. You know what I mean? Look at this. This is what we saw, right? This isn't what that guy saw, I guess. Clapping. Look how pathetic. President of the United States, this guy wants you to think something else happened. He stood out there and clapped for someone that he's supposed to, the way this guy's talking, it was all strength. He brought him to Alaska, something they gave up 90 years ago or whatever, before Putin was even alive. That's gotta sting. Even this stupid voice I'm doing has more charisma than the actual guy. And then he's like, oh yeah. And then he showed him all of our secret weapons. Just to threaten him. Hey, check this out. People don't even know about this jet yet. Pretty cool. And then he did a flyover like in Top Gun and made Putin spill his coffee all over him. Oh, that damn maverick. I'll know not to mess around with him. And you think about it really happened. Marines laid out a red carpet for him. He clapped like a little schoolgirl. I don't have the footage now, but it's in my old video. My video from Sunday. He taps Putin's hands. He's all over him backstage. They used it as propaganda because of course they did. You know what I mean? Up is down, down is up. What's up, everybody? I should pay attention to the chat. That's why I'm here. I'm just going off. Elon with a chainsaw. Yeah, same difference, right, Edgy? I agree. Greek coffee's terrible. What are you talking about? How did we get on Greek coffee? I drank it when I was there, and I had to brush my teeth after every time. It was good to be around my people, though. I'm Cretan. I got some Cretan in me, and they're good people. Although everybody said that, they all say that Crete is the Texas of Greece. They kind of look down on them because everybody's drunk all the time and they shoot the signs with their guns. But that's where I'm from, I guess. They have this stuff called Rocky, and they make you drink it after every meal. Even if you're in the program, even if you're in AA, you still have to drink this Rocky. Get you drunk. But it's disgusting. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about is just the rewriting of this. Trump saying that he's ready to find God. Look what he's done to the Oval Office. Look at it. It's not even like the good gold color. It's the tacky gold color. It's Carmela. That's Carmela Soprano's house right there, right? That's the Sopranos. That's not the Oval Office. And you know what it reminded me of when I saw this picture? It reminded me of old Saddam, right? That was Saddam's palace. I think this is probably what the ballroom will look like. This is where we're headed. Old Saddam. And then even Trump has his Hussein, what was the other one? Hussein Kuse? Kuse? You say Kuse? I say Kuse? I don't know. Simpler time when we had bad guys. Look, all that Saddam gold, and it's only a matter of time. Quote me on this one before someone gives him, a gold gun. It's probably already happened. There's Saddam Hussein's gold-plated gun. So you ask me. Actually, nobody asks me anymore. Are we still a democracy? Are we healthy? No, we're not healthy. What's this clip?
Red Deal is a deal with
Here's
security
the leader of the free world now, as far as I'm
concerned.
concerned.
As far as I'm concerned, when I look at the situation and the facts, I don't see President Putin really willing to get peace now. But perhaps I'm too pessimistic. So I think it's very important to launch this process.
Go sue Candace Owens into oblivion. When we were in France, we were in a group, and there was a couple chuds in our group. I think they were like 65 or something. I don't know. We got stuck in I'm getting old, so I can't really say. But we got stuck in like an older group. I think there was like some 80-year-olds in our group on our trip. But anyway, one of these chuds was like, I don't like Macron. He's going to lose. He's going to lose the next election. And I was like, you know what? If France doesn't want him, we'll take him home. We'll take him home with us. And that guy gave me he looked at me like, oh, what? And I said, like and subscribe. He didn't know what I was talking about. But yeah, I like Macron, right? I don't know. A liberal guy who's married to someone who's rich, who's good looking and young, leading a city. I don't know. Do we have anyone like that? Maybe Gavin? You know what I mean? Anyway, God, look how tacky. Now all I can see is that gold in that office. What is going on? Is he decorating it this way because he's planning on never leaving? Gotta be, right? He's building a ballroom. Who builds a ballroom for a house you're gonna be gone in 3 years? I don't know. What's this clip? Is this him talking about voting? All right, you guys want to get a vote? Let's see what you guys think about what I just said. The ballroom is not gonna be built. I don't know, guy. I'm like Macron. I'm pessimistic. I am a pessimistic person. I call that a realist. My friend was like, hey, you're so negative all the time. And I was like, yeah, that's called being a realist. Everything you've said is going to turn out right. Didn't turn out right at all. He said, the Supreme Court's going to hold up. They will usurp their own power. That didn't work. The Republicans will reject this because of states' rights, because of the budget. That didn't hold up. Nothing's holding up, okay? So I'm sorry, guy. I know you've been here a long time. You're one of my favorites, but man, I think I'm more of a realist. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Jessica Starr. Temporary renters don't remodel their rental properties, especially when it's like a $200 million ballroom that they had to cut school lunches for.
You pushed out on social media.
Brian, go first.
You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important
Well, that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses it because of what's happened. Massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want change are the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else.
Yeah, so you could stuff
We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines, they say we're going to have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results that night. Most people, many countries use paper ballots. It's the most secure form. We're going to stop
mail-in ballots because it's corrupt. You know, when you go to a voting booth and you do it...
All right, we just watched that. I put in the last video all the countries that have mail-in ballots, right? He got this idea planted in his head, right? If you didn't see it, in their meeting, Putin was like, you really need to stop. That's not Russian. Where's my Russian? My Russian always turns into Armenian. Come ride in my white Mercedes. Come look at my white Mercedes. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anyway, Putin told him, you shouldn't have mail-in ballots because on camera, it was caught. You know, it's in that last video. I keep saying that last video. Maybe I should have just had you watch that one. But Putin was caught on video stuffing these. He got 87% of the vote because why keep it realistic at all? You know what I mean? When you're that far into it. So he's put this idea in his head. And now he's not only saying the mail-in ballots, he wants to take the machines, right? Boy wants to have a Trump-stamped machines with a big T on the side. So those two things, direct attacking of the counting of the votes. And if you're like me, I don't know how much you can say on YouTube without them getting mad about it. But this is the conspiracy channel. But if you've been following it, there's definitely some, how do we say this lightly, inconsistencies with the last election, right? Like a Democratic county in New York, 0 people voted for Kamala. Come on, we don't need to get in that right now. This isn't a conspiracy channel, but here you go. United Kingdom has postal voting. Standard government. Germany, since 2009, no excuses required. Mailing your ballot is the norm. Is long-standing. They even have the word for it. Voto por correo. Voto por correo. In Austria, nationwide postal voting is available. Canada, Australia. So I don't know why one person, I know in here he just has the sycophants. Nobody's really allowed in there anymore. The fourth estate is already ruined. You know what I mean? But just one person being like, actually, this is the biggest lie. This is another lie of yours. You know, what are you trying to pull, Mr. President? So those two things, direct attacks on the vote. You can't mail in your ballot. They want you to have to go. Now listen to me, because if you just think about it for 2 seconds, this is what's happening. D.C., right? He sends in the National Guard in D.C., his secret police or whatever. People are like, that's a distraction. He's just trying to distract you from the E-file. Hey, maybe on some level, but what he's actually trying to do is he's trying to normalize National Guard troops in these cities, in these blue cities. He's trying to do it a year and a half out from the midterm elections, right? So by the time we're there in a year and a half, it will be the norm to have National Guard on the streets. It'll be the norm to have them there on the Tuesday when you now have to go in person to vote. You see what I'm saying? And I mean, it's states rats, right? Whatever happened to states rats? In places like California, they're going to fight back. It'll probably be fine. I can still vote by mail or whatever. I go in person anyway because I enjoy the process. But not everybody's afforded the time, you know, to go do it. In red states that could be competitive, but with blue cities, Texas, it could be enough to scare them just enough where even if he has no authority to tell states how to run their elections, they will just do it to appease him, to appease this party. You know what I mean? So they're gonna conform to it. You know they are. And every red state, every deep red state is just gonna do it anyway. This is the next step. The gerrymandering is backfiring because Gavin's like, well, fine, we'll just gerrymander our state. But now they're going to have National Guard, and you're forced to go vote in person. It's not going to be on a machine. It's not going to be like secure. It's not going to be, they'll be looking over your shoulder to see who you're voting for. Do you not understand? Like, it's all connected. These things aren't just random anymore. I know he's an idiot. He spurts out stuff all the time. It's only a matter of time before he tells you this plan, and then his supporters are like, ugh. He's just joking. It's a prank, bro. Democracy's a prank, bro. But this is Stephen Miller's plan written all over it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see what Chad is saying. Why don't you say thank you? Exactly. Can you imagine? There's no way in the world he would say that to old Putin. Main ballots also aren't counted by the tableters. Exactly, right? And they're held off. And what they call vote harvesting, actually, you can go around. I've helped out with this. You know, you go to like senior citizens' homes, people that can't get out of the house for some reason, and you take their ballots for them, and then you go and drop them off. They call it ballot harvesting. But the thing is, every year, right, there's only 5-6 people in the whole country that try to illegally vote. And most of the time, I'll have to look at the numbers, but most of the time it's Republicans, if not all the time, trying to vote twice. or some convicted felon who didn't understand. And it's only like, it's the tiniest number. So it's very transparent what they're doing. You know what I mean? Gavin is killing it. You know, I know a lot of people who don't like him on the left and the right, but man, at least somebody's doing something. And it's hilarious that they have no idea how to fight back with it. They just act like they're offended. And that's the perfect trap, because they're like, oh, how can he run California when he's not a serious person? When he's mocking the president of the United States. Did he call him Voldemort? Maybe. That's giving Stephen Miller too much credit. You see, Stephen Miller's wife, she has a podcast. And she said, oh, it's terrible, don't watch it. But she's talking to J.D. Vance, and she told J.D. Vance, she's like, all Steven will eat all day is mayonnaise. That's all he lives off of is mayonnaise. And it's like, yeah, I think we already all kind of knew that. He looks like a guy who lives off mayonnaise.
Sure, go ahead.
So the president says that he's starting a movement to eliminate mail-in voting. That states administer elections, not federal authorities. So can you provide any more details about how the White House plans to eliminate that?
The White House continues to work on this, and when Congress comes back to Washington, I'm sure there will be many discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill and also our friends in state legislatures across the country to ensure that we're protecting the integrity of the vote for the American people. And I think Republicans generally, and the president generally, wants to make it easier for Americans to vote and harder for people to cheat in our elections.
Nobody
and it's quite
cheats,
mind-boggling
man.
that the Democrat Party could stand in opposition to common sense. He wants to ensure election integrity. There were great efforts that were made in 2024. I won't get ahead of myself for Hatch Act reasons to get ahead for the next election, but I can assure you this is a priority for the president.
She is
You're welcome.
insufferable. You know, Elon came out. Well, first off, Trump came out. He said Elon knows those voting machines in Pennsylvania, knows how to fix them. But then Elon's kid was like, we got Pennsylvania fixed. Elon was saying that, and the kid covered his mouth. You know, something fishy happened. Something definitely fishy happened. But it didn't happen at this voter level, right? Like where you go in to vote. And she kind of gives the game away. She says, we're going to do executive orders. We're going to do it by decree, by the king. And even though that might not work, who knows? I don't know what this Supreme Court, 50-50. Clarence Thomas and Alito will definitely go with anything. So there's two right away. But even if they hold up that states have the right to do their own method of election, she says right there, we're going to be working with state legislatures to change it. So that means if you're in a red state, this thing that, Greg Abbott, he's not a stand-up guy. This thing he's doing right now with the gerrymandering is just the start of disenfranchisement, right? Because the next thing will be no mail-in ballots, probably all same-day voting, no day off to go vote. And you'll have to push yourself past some 18-year-old, jacked up on the street. By that time, they'll probably have ICE out there with masks on. They probably won't even have the National Guard. ICE will be watching the polls because they'll say, we got to make sure illegals don't vote. Actually, you know what? Saying that out loud, that's 1,000% going to happen. You're going to have mass people at the polling stations under the guise of trying to stop illegals to vote. Sorry, Guy. Did I lose Guy North? I know it's a little dark. I know it gets a little dark.
Sure.
Caroline, can you describe the president's perspective on taking a stake in Intel in exchange for federal grants? And is this are we expecting to see the White House make similar arrangements with other semiconductor companies and manufacturing companies?
Well, the president, he's been very clear about the need to reshore manufacturing that's critical to our national and economic security. That is especially in regards to chips and semiconductors, which is why the president has initiated the Commerce Department to conduct a study on semiconductors, a Section 232 investigation, so we can ultimately implement tariffs. And it's why our export license requirements remain in place as well. As for this 10% government stake deal, the Department of Commerce continues to work on it. I know Secretary Lutnick is working on it and ironing out the details, but the president wants to put America's needs first, both from a national security and economic perspective. And it's a creative idea that has never been done before to ensure that we're both reshoring these critical supply chains while also gaining something of it for the American taxpayer.
It's a creative idea that has never been done before. A government taking stake, forcing companies to give a take to the government. Let's be honest, Trump's going to skim off the top of this also. It's never been done before for a government to take over a company and make them pay a percentage. Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, every authoritarian fascist regime, every authoritarian communist regime, you know, it's a staple of a kleptocracy. You have to come through us to do business. And this dumb, you know, I want to call her, this dumb church, I don't know, can I say that? Am I going to get blocked? She comes out here and she says it's never been done before. The thing that they're against, right? It's Marco Rubio's whole thing. My family escaped Cuba to go to Canada so that I could come here and never be deported, but rail against communism, rail against, like, you know what I mean? Am I losing it? Is there anyone left in this? Was anyone in this party, this entire Republican Party, genuine when they were calling themselves patriots? I'm a patriot. Don't step on snack. Was one person genuine in the whole party? I'm just asking. Is there one guy out there who's actually like, oh, crap. You know, the government's taking over my right to vote. They're making companies share, give them 10% share. That means that the Trump administration will have a seat on NVIDIA, right? Volkswagen, Mercedes. It's never been done before. Jay, we losing it. I agree. He does a little jump every time she does a lie. Well, she must have strong legs then, because she is. Yeah, I just waited till we were winning and drinking again. I hear you, guy. And as soon as it happens, I forget what part of the country you're in, but we will come to you and we will do a show, and I will buy the first round, maybe the second round. Depends on where you live. If you're close to New York, I'll buy half a round. $25 a drink there. This is just crazy talk. I think it's most offensive to me because I grew up in Utah, right? I grew up around these people. These people that are always weary of the government. These people that are stockpiling guns and everything else. And then everything they talked about that they were preparing for is falling down like dominoes in front of their face. And what are they worried about now? I mean, what is your average American worried about now? Inflation is back. It's destroying stuff. Steak was like $100 at Costco this last weekend. What are they waiting for? You know what I mean? Frustrating. Welcome to the live show, where I don't get to edit out my frustration. When I do the edits, I get to edit out all the sighs, and I get to edit out everything else. Now you get to watch it. This is what you guys want. You want to see me sigh? You want to see me break down in real time? Well, you got it.
You're welcome. Emily.
So here's Nutlick, right? He's called Nutlick because that's what he does to the president all day. He licks his nuts. I don't know. Yeah, I think I can say that, right? Who knows what I can say on YouTube anymore. I might as well just give up being in the algorithm. I'm just going to start a barbecue channel. Here we go.
We'd like an American transistor built in America, right? We'd like an American to be doing that. So Donald Trump says, hey, look, let's turn the money that Biden was going to just give away and turn that to equity for the American people. Yes, it is a worse deal than giving it away. But when you put this money in the hands of Donald Trump, you're going to get a better deal for the American taxpayer. That's who Donald Trump is, and it's obviously the right move to make.
Well, all right, it may be obvious to you. Do you get governance here? By the way, once 10%. You're in for 10%, do you have to go in for even more?
Yes, you do.
Come on.
No.
Oh, come on.
Stop that stuff. It's not governance, right? We're just converting what was a grant under Biden into equity for the Trump administration.
I get that. I just asked if you're going to get governance. You're going to own 10% of the company. You don't. Why wouldn't you want
non-voting?
Okay.
No, stop.
Well, I'm not overdoing it, but you got a golden share on U.S. Steel, so it's not like impossible to imagine that you do want some level of governance here if you're going to put 10% of taxpayers' money into, or 10% of the company's taxpayers' money.
We are on the same page.
You see what I'm saying? 10% of a company in order to operate. That was the deal. This is going to become the standard because companies in this country have a bottom line and they're all chicken shit to, the board. So this is going to be the norm. Just bending the knee. This isn't even bending the knee. This is like mob stuff, right? Getting a taste. Well, Godfather, they're getting their beak wet. 10% of a company. And I wouldn't even call this socialism because this is going to benefit us at all, right? Socialism, the company would be part of, they could take a stake in it, but then we'd all get you know, the middle class, the lower class, maybe get their taxes lowered, maybe get a park built, maybe get some school funding. That's not what this is. This is fascism. This is, don't make the comparison, but it's Nazi Germany, it's Mercedes, it's Volkswagen. They're being folded into the government. It's just the start. They're not going to just shake down one company and then be like, oh, that's it. Just NVIDIA. This is just the start of what's happening. And once again, the reason they're doing this is because they're not planning on leaving. You know what I mean? It's exactly a kleptocracy. You have to give them money to be able to do business. It's third world, man. John knows what he's talking about. Exactly. Socialism's when we run it. Seize the means of production, right? But this money's not going to any of that. This money's not going to better your life. This money's going to better their lives. The oligarch. And this blows my mind, because this is the thing that, I guess the theme of this live is just, where are these people? Because this is one of the things they always hated. Government taking over private companies. Can you imagine? You know what I mean? 10%. It's not even like when Obama did the GMC, which they freaked out about, right? Because they were going broke. They would have went under. So it's not even a bailout of that where we were helping them, which they all paid back and then he gave it back to them. It's not even that. NVIDIA's not going under. They want out of having to pay for the tariffs. So they did the math. They said, okay, the tariffs will raise by 15%, right? But if we just pay these guys 10%, then we can still make that 5%. And that's the only way they think. You should never look to companies. Companies will not save this country. Big companies will not save this country. The board looked at that math problem and they said, fine, you know, let them shake us down. So they're giving it to, you know, these guys instead of paying for the tariffs. It's great. It's the blatant corruption that's in your face, but this country is way too stupid to understand what's happening. They used to always have to cover this up with social wars, right? Like the Koch brothers. You'd always have to have a social war. That way they could do this all in the background. And whenever it got exposed, they would kind of retreat a little bit. Now it's in your face. The secretary that we just saw with the cross saying it's never been done before. It's the greatest idea in the world. A kleptocracy's never been tried before. Let's see how it works. He definitely didn't learn it from the guy he was clapping for, Putin. That whole country's a kleptocracy. And you know what that GDP is? It's lower than the city I live in. Los Angeles has a higher GDP. We're the 5th largest economy in the world. Russia is broke.
What's going to happen is the investments in America are for the benefit of
why it's called
economic and national security of the United States of America, driven by Donald Trump, the only person who could have come up with these kind of ideas to make sure we protect America is Donald Trump. He understands business.
Besides every autocrat ever.
We made the deal with Korea. It is their money that's going to create these investments so that we can build the pipelines, we can build the nuclear, we can build semiconductors, we can build pharmaceuticals in America to protect America. This is Donald Trump's strategy, and it is amazing. And it's the most fun to work for him because we are doing things that nobody's ever thought of doing to protect America.
The guy just laughed. Listen to it. It's ridiculous.
There's a guy named Sean Hannity.
It's ridiculous, right? It's the first time it's ever happened, Nutlick said. Like every autocrat has it absorbed, especially in a late stage capitalism scenario, just absorb the companies so that they can stay viable. It's the thing about fascism, right? It's the first thing you learn. The circles get smaller and smaller and smaller. So NVIDIA wants to get in that small circle right now. You'll see other companies try to get in that small circle. But they're only in that small circle until the next round, right? Then it gets even smaller. Then they're going to have a bigger buy. I mean, I studied this stuff for years, thinking about it in the abstract. Dumb me, dumb 22-year-old me, thinking 21-year-old me, thinking, you know, just thinking, learning this stuff in the abstract. And now it's all happening at once. And that's why I want to get out of here. You know what I mean? That's why I want to get a winery in Italy in the hills and just make a winery channel. But I don't know how to make wine. So I don't know. But dude, tourism is destroying Vegas. My mom lives there and they're actually calling her back because all these big casinos, they wouldn't let them park there for free because they got too big for their britches. And now she says they're all inviting her back. They can all park for free again. Vegas is like a ghost land. I'm probably going to go there in the next couple weeks. Maybe go see them. Maybe I'll do a video from there. But this is insane. Patriot Hero Eagle flag. Yep, you passed the test. But now you guys can see why this guy's called Nutlick. because those balls won't lick themselves. I told you I'd do more lives, and that's why I'm here. We opened this episode with Donald Trump saying he is scared he's not going to go to heaven, right? Just rambling. You have a war going on that's not going to end with his boyfriend. He's taking secret calls with him. He's taking a cut off companies. And then, you know, you have this where he just calls in still. I'm just saying, like, all right, obviously this is a bygone notion in this country. But you should have a president, especially in these trying times, who's at least engaged, who's at least focused.
Yeah, there's a guy named Sean Hannity. He might take a very lovely young lady that he knows very well.
His girlfriend
to
in the
dinner
middle.
in Washington, and they don't have to. And she's sitting right next to you, by the way.
That's right. Sean Hannity.
So I better explain exactly. We don't want
Grandpa.
any secrets here. But that's the greatest relationship. I hope I'm not breaking any news. This could be the biggest. Hey, this could be the most important thing I said. But let me tell you, those are two great, Ainsley and Sean, great people. And when they go out to dinner, I don't want to see them get mugged.
Grandpa.
Now they can go out, they can hold hands, they can walk down the street. They're both superstars. I want to know who makes more money, because she's got to be making a lot.
We're so happy for them, but on a serious note, Mr. President.
But on a serious note,
because this is the topic.
The world is crumbling. The token comes in and says, but on a serious note. On a serious, are you serious?
When you had them sitting in front of you, did they
on a serious note, okay? Sure. Anyway, all right, how you guys doing? How long should these lives be? I say an hour before you get sick of me. So let me answer some questions and then I'll get out of here. But I do not like this lady right here, right? I do not like Elise. So it was nice to see this. You guys all see this? And this is going to be the norm. Oh, I got to turn that down. It's so loud. Oh, shush us. Try to shush him. I mean, things like that do give me a bit of hope. Let's put that picture back up while we wind down. Where's that picture? The best picture in the world of him with his boy. I don't have it ready to go. But anyway, that's the live show, babies. Babies? I've never called you that before. Anybody got any questions? What a crazy time.
Jackie. Thanks, Caroline.
Let's see.
Since the president often says that this war would not have started if he were in office,
True.
and Putin confirmed that.
It's true. Do you accept that as true? European leaders do. And President Putin himself said that, by the way.
And
the question.
All right, it's enough. To close, what is the point of having a White House secretary? She just said, Putin himself said that if Trump wouldn't have lost, this war would have never happened. So that's a source that the press secretary takes. When you ask the press secretary a question, she's basically telling you right there that, yeah, Russian talking points are part. They inform that question. You know what I mean? I don't know, guys. Every day, I could go live every day with new crap. But thank you for being here. I'll put together another video that's not live for those that don't like the size and everything else. But it's good to see you all. I do love this part. I love jumping in and hearing what you guys think. So thanks for being here. You want to support the channel more, make sure you become a member, because the algorithm... One last thing. The algorithm is absolutely destroying us. And I don't know why. I think this last video, I didn't use old T's name too much. And I definitely didn't say T with the E. TikTok, if you say those two things together, they'll shadow ban you. We have 30,000 followers on TikTok. Nobody sees any of my stuff anymore. So you can't even say those words anymore. So we all kind of live in this algorithm now. So I appreciate people that, you know, if they don't see me, they come and find me if I'm not fed to them anymore, because this is the world. Algorithms decide who you see. Algorithms are trying to decide what you think. And it's dark. And YouTube actually copied TikTok, which, why would you copy, you know, a Chinese propaganda app when you're an American company? You know what I mean? So they copy them. So it's this idea that every video has to stand on its own. It goes out. They take every single word you say in every video, and then they put it through some algorithm. And if you say T and E together, the two best friends, you know, they flush you out. And some of you never even seen me. So anyway, I do appreciate the fans of this show. I appreciate it. You guys always say we should have more subs. I agree. I don't know how to fix it. Okay? Because I can't really change. I can't flip over and be a different kind of channel. I am the channel I am. And I think a guy left for that last video because I think his wife had that haircut of Kristi Noem's that I was making fun of. So I'm sorry if any of you have that haircut, all right? It was just a joke about my hometown. And my mom says, don't tell people your hometown. Don't let them know where you're from. But I did because I love you all. So look out for the next video. That's it. I'm out of here. Love you.